What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to another portrait sketch in oil colors. This is the 5th edition. Once again, I'm starting off with just a little bit of odorless mineral spirits that I'm applying onto my canvas panel. This is just going to make it a little easier for the color to flow. Yesterday I tried out spike lavender for this stage and it got a little gooey, a little too gooey too fast. Spike lavender has different properties, but it thins out the paint. But today we're just using Gamsol. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started here. Let's make sure that I didn't use too much mineral spirits. I don't think I did. Alright, so that should be pretty decent consistency. Hey Mark L. Alright, this is approximately the size that I want for the head. And we've got an angle this time. I decided to go for an angle, so let's get that angle down real quick. I'm using black and cadmium red as my drawing color, which creates a dark brown. So this is approximately the angle that we've got here. The hair on the model is kind of covering part of the face, so I thought that'd be an interesting compositional thing to look at. Okay, so everything is flowing pretty good here. We're gonna suggest that the eyes are gonna be here, nose is gonna be here, mouth somewhere over here. This gives me again the angle for the face. Remember, these are quick sketches in contrast to my long-term paintings that I do off camera. These are great practice for long-term projects. Nose is over there. Let's get the cast shadow on the mouth. This will give us the proportion of the chin. Eye is going to fit somewhere over there, but it can be rather simplified at first. Hey Corhan, what's going on, everybody? Nice and simple abstract shapes. Pretty simple there. No measuring just yet. Trying to see the proportions as much as I can before becoming too mechanical. Fun little start. This gives us our light and shadow tone. Alright, good enough. We're done. I'll see you later. Bye-bye now. Just kidding. We're now going to get into some color. And I'm going to adjust whatever needs to be adjusted with the color. Before that, I do have a bigger palette now. Same colors as usual. Again, don't concern yourself with the colors. Please do not worry about the colors. This is not at all about the colors, but this is a huge palette compared to what I had yesterday. I like a palette like this because it gives me more space to think, more space to operate. And I think this is the brush that we use to apply the mineral spirits. I'll just mix with it something orange. I'm gonna start with something orange with a tad bit of maybe like a hint of blue, but you can get these colors with something as simple as burnt sienna white and ultramarine blue. Remember that the process for each one of these sketches, these portrait sketches, is intended to be consistent from one sketch to another. Even though the reference is different with each one, I still aim for the process to be pretty much the same, with some adjustments, little tweaks to the process here and there. Okay, so that's somewhat alright. I think I want a little more orange. Gotta mix some more orange. Let's see, that's better. Alright, so we're gonna go with light and shadow shapes as simple as possible. So I can get the proportions. The forehead is a little bit tall. The reference we painted from yesterday, the forehead was also a little bit tall. So today I'm going to try to be a little less, stress a little less about the measuring or the things that I typically get wrong in a painting, and try to focus with a little more positivity and open mind. See if we can incorporate the stuff that I have been trying to learn over time from my old master studies, working from life, which, by the way, today I may actually end up painting from life if I'm not too lazy to sit in traffic. There's a group in Lorton, Virginia that has a 1 3-hour pose on the last Thursday of every month, or the fourth Thursday of every month. So that's today for me. Will I go? Should I stay or should I go? I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna go. I probably should. It's a little bit closer than driving an hour and a half to Baltimore. In case anyone's wondering, these are very improv videos. Very improv. That means pretty much you can talk about whatever you want. We want to talk about technique, we'll talk about technique. You want to talk about anything non-controversial, you can talk about anything non-controversial. My proportions seem to be good. I think placement of the mouth. I'm not getting too cautious about that just yet. So that's going to be my vignette, basically. We're going to see if we can maintain this little abstraction as the vignette. Okie dokie. Now we can go into some planes, and the process is such that as we go into planes, we adjust the drawing wherever we feel that it needs to be adjusted with the addition of planes. This is a fast-paced way of working. Fun. Throwing shapes around, kind of expressive in an expressive way, in contrast to a longer pose. So the goal is to have more passion, more energy, more brushwork. That's the goal. The longer we work on this, the less passion, the less energy, less brushwork. So here's how I started yesterday. With the brightest highlight, and I'm going to use white and a little bit of burnt sienna with a tad bit of cadmium yellow. Something real bright. And this is why I like this palette, because you can see the white on the right. The left looks pretty light, right? But it's not straight up titanium white. Okay, so the brightest light is somewhere about here. That's not good. That sounds like something's about to fall. Well, stay tuned. The stream might get real interesting if something breaks. Anyway, there's our brightest light over there. Because the hair is covering the forehead, it's actually not that bright over there. Okay. So now that we have that, we can now go ahead and mix some tones for the planes surrounding the face. So, same exact mixture, but I'm adding some burnt sienna and a tad bit of alizarin. And we're gonna add kind of a pinkish hue to this. That's going to give us the bulb of the nose. And the bulb of the nose is going to be somewhere about there. Now I'm going to go for a slightly darker but more pink tone. Right there. Now yesterday, I focused heavily on the position of the nose, and I went in and started to slow down on the nose, like pretty fast. This time I'm going to work more holistic. So meaning I'm putting down these little chops of planes where I see fit, pretty much how I used to work beforehand, before deviating onto all these old master studies. So I'm going to trust in my ability to correct whatever I need to correct as I paint with these planes. Tad bit more of a pinkish tone there. I want to be able to see these shapes faster. There's that plane over there. Oh, and this stage is so much fun. Especially when you just kind of let go and stop worrying too much about likeness or proportion. However, keep that on the back of your mind always. of a reddish brown. So a little bit faster to jump into planes without too much careful measuring this time. I'm going to mix a pinkish color. We're going to use that for the lips. Fast, expressive, yet somewhat relaxing. Now here's where the drawing stuff is more intuitive. I'm just relying on what I see as I add these shapes. Kind of a, I don't know, way to think about it as a portrait artist is as I walk through the valley of the shadow of mistakes, I fear no corrections. Hey Shafu. Hey Isra. The palette, I can lift it up to show you, but it's not gonna be next to the painting. This is huge. This is a 16 by 20 inch palette that I am using. Yeah, yesterday I had a smaller one of the same brand, and I'm switching to tabletop palettes rather than the handheld palettes. Because the handheld palette, I felt like with too many hours of painting was hurting like kind of part of my back, and having the palette over here for hours and hours was hurting my shoulder. Yeah, this is what happens when you paint for so many years. The years, they catch up to you. But yeah, sorry, I can't have the palette like right next to it. So these are sketches. I've done so many. Please don't hate me for not being able to have the palette here the whole time. I've done it for years, many years, and I'm sure I'll do another video with the palette there at some point in the future, but I'm painting every single day, every morning, every night, preparing for some commissions. My website is, my wife has been working on my website, so we will have a lot of stuff for sale soon. Actually, if you're on my Patreon, you've already received the email for the early pre-orders, or for the pre-orders. But yeah, after painting for so many years, the back and the shoulder, those are the things that are gonna kind of be a thing. I know, right? Excuses, excuses. But there's something a little bit more liberating about having the palette be on the ground, not on the ground, but like below. Something kind of liberating about it. So remember, this is quite improv. And you'll notice I've been titling these videos kind of the same title, just a different number. Portrait Sketch in Oil Colors 5. Yesterday it was Portrait Sketch in Oil Colors 4. Next time it'll be Portrait Sketch in Oil Colors 6. These are exercises in thinking fast. But there are also paintings that I want to eventually have available for people interested in buying them, and at a reasonable cost, as they are considered sketches. However, back to the painting. Today, in particular, I'm trying to be less analytical, less methodical. As you see, that yields to more color. I'm actually using more color variations than I thought I would use. And as a result, I'm going to use more paint. I kind of wish I had put lead white out on my palette. I didn't. So this isn't really going to add that much. And you see that's perhaps a little too bright, as we can compare it to that. Okay, so we walk our way up. That's a little bit more color. Now the nasal bone, this is going to pick up some light. And then it's going to get a little darker by the glabella, and of course there's hair up there. Hey, Brian Ross. So I'm developing everything kind of at the same pace. Everything is at the same level of development. So this is kind of a telltale sign when I'm less analytical. Sometimes less analytical is a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. And alright, so this time I will put something in the background. I really wish I had brought some more brushes. I got this big brush I don't want to clean, but whatever. I'm going to use it. Cerulean blue. White. Just for that edge. Cerulean blue is a gorgeous color. It really is. I'm kind of subconsciously using this color because I was at the Plaza art store yesterday in Fairfax, Virginia, and that's when I bought this palette yesterday, and this person was, I guess, buying art supplies for a class, and she bought the Winton, the student grade colors, and then she was asking the cashier, why does this blue cost so much? And it was cerulean blue, and the cashier was like, oh, you should just get the hue. And he was like, what do you say? He was like, I like the hue sometimes more than the original color. And I just kept my mouth shut. I didn't say nothing. But cerulean blue, as you can tell, is such a gorgeous color. With just cerulean blue and white. Such a nice color. It's a shame I'm going to have to clean that brush. I really don't want to clean brushes anymore. But I must. Brian Ross, I am using white, cadmium yellow, cadmium orange, cadmium red, alizarin crimson, burnt sienna, sap green, ivory black, cerulean blue, and magenta. Though I have not used any magenta yet. Cerulean blue is expensive. So flex that color whenever you can on your paintings. It's like flexing a muscle. It's an excellent color to have for many reasons, but the most useful reason for cerulean blue is it's just a thicker blue. Blues are mostly very transparent. Most of them are very transparent. And let's see if we can throw in some red here for the reflection. Okay, all right. So there's that reflection. And so I like cerulean and cobalt. cerulean blue and cobalt blue I like because they're thicker. I can use more paint with them. More passion, more energy, more brushwork. Yes, it is cheaper than lapis lazuli. I have yet to try lapis lazuli. Lapis lazuli is the genuine ultramarine blue made from a precious stone. I cannot believe that I can't find genuine vermilion anymore. Has anyone else noticed that? I cannot find genuine vermilion anywhere online. Now that we're getting into earth colors and historic colors, I can't find vermilion red. I can't find it. And I knew I should have bought it like at some point. Like I was going to. I mean, I had every intention of buying it, but I didn't buy it. And now I can't find it. I can't. Maybe it's just banned in Virginia. I don't know. Like legit, if you can find a tube of vermilion, if you can find a full tube of vermilion, I will trade you this painting for that tube of paint. Assuming it's in, workable condition, right? Not filled with something other than paint. But yeah, I cannot find it anywhere. Yeah, I can't find it on Michael Harding Vermilion. I cannot find it, and maybe it is a Virginia thing. I didn't look it up. If that's the case, I should order it when I'm in Maryland. Hey, another personality. Saw it at, okay, so if you're seeing it on Jerry's and you're seeing the Michael Harding, it could be a Virginia thing. Just another reason for me to love Northern Virginia. Oh, such a wonderful place. So many artists here that work from life. There's never any traffic in Northern Virginia. It's so quiet and so not noisy. Alright, so of course I'll be seeing more of the nostril on this one because we're looking up at the model, meaning we're lower in perspective. Not looking for any brand in particular, just genuine vermilion. It's out of stock in the UK as well. Vermilion. It's good for historical purposes. That's it. It's good if it's good as a collector. If you have genuine vermilion, keep it. Um, just keep it as a collector's item. For example, last week I bought a 2,000-year-old Greek coin at a vintage expo. The coin itself cost me $44, so I wonder if it's a real coin or not. But in antiquity, vermilion was useful for painting skin colors because it's a red that's not as overpowering as cadmium. But it's made of mercury, so yeah. you don't want to mess with that, like get it on your hands or anything like that. Why not mix everything with cyan yourself? You mean or magenta? I don't know. I didn't think I needed to mix. Uh, yeah, I'll use a little bit of magenta. It's kind of like a bluish. It's a bluish alizarin, is what it is. There, it's very dark. It's a very dark color. But no, I don't really like premixtures that much. I like kind of just letting everything run wild on my palette. Yeah, there are substitutes. The only reason I mentioned this is just because I I just want it as kind of like a collector's item. So for example, like I went to that vintage shop, or not shop, but vintage expo in Chantilly last weekend, and I was dragging my feet. I didn't really want to go because I'm not really like an antiques kind of person until I was there, and I was just like, oh my goodness, they had paintings from the 17th century, legit paintings you could buy from the 17th century for only like 2,500 or like 3,500, which is not that bad. That's pretty much the price of a painting, like a big painting from, like, that's pretty much the price of my big paintings. But I mean, these were small, like this size, like 9 by 12 from the 17th century, which I thought was pretty cool. And looking at them, they looked like they were authentic, like with the cracking and the paint and all that stuff. So that was pretty darn neat, I must say. I wanted one, but I didn't have 2,500 to spend. Hey, another person online. Oh yeah, you can get a vermilion hue. That's pretty common. Yeah, you can find a vermilion hue, but finding I need to use some smaller brushes. I'm gonna put these big brushes aside now. Now let's get into that technical modeling the form stuff. And if I go to that painting group today, I may not even be able to clean my brushes. I might have to take them as they are, take my palette, lug this big palette as it is, and hopefully I don't bump into somebody in the elevator. That might be kind of a problem. So this is going to end at 5 or around 5. And I got to be there. It starts at 6. It's the only time of the month that they have one long pose. I should have bought the smaller size palette that fits in my palette box, but I wanted the biggest one I could get. Another thing I like is the bigger palette right in front of me naturally keeps me further away from the painting, which is something that I like. When you work on longer poses, you tend to get closer as time goes by to the painting naturally. So I try to avoid that tendency. You never want to paint too close, because then you just don't see mistakes and you get too precious. My precious. You get too precious. Yeah, I know I should go. I have been going to the one in Baltimore and at Karen Warshall's studio on Saturdays, Saturday mornings. But they're not having a pose tomorrow, and we're working on the same portrait for multiple weeks. So that's, I think, how it should be with long pose. But all of it is useful, you know what I mean? Like, it's all useful. Short pose, long pose. Keep that brush moving. I prefer the long handle brushes too. These are just cheap brushes. These are thrift store brushes. Um, because I use alkyd paints when I do my studio work so that they dry the next day. But I like these because I have a lot of them, and I'm not bothered by them getting damaged by the alkyds. A drawing stadium. Teared up. Drawing what? Yeah, I mean, you can use any material you want. You can use expensive everything, which is what I used to do. Or you could use not so expensive everything. You know, I do have a brush or a handle extender. I could technically make these brushes longer, but nah. There's some things that I do need the bigger brush for, like this, the shape for the hair up there. So I'm just gonna put a general shape for that right now. Then I'll get into whatever details later. You know, this would have actually been a pretty good watercolor reference to use. I could have done that. Brian Ross, this is a French easel that I am using. It's a Julian French easel. You see the Julian. Hopefully the resolution's clear enough that the Julian part shows. And this is where I actually prefer to use a little bit of medium, like it used to be called Neo McGill, now it's called like Galkid Light or something like that. For the darks, because when these dry, they will sink in because I'm thinning it out with the mineral spirits. Yeah, I'm not really like too picky about easels. As long as it can make a 90-degree angle, I'm okay with it. Yeah, so certain things I will want a slightly bigger brush. It's like this is a little, I guess it's because of the sunlight. This is a little more orangey. This plane over here. And again, what I learned from Bouguereau, not that I actually studied with him because I would be immortal if I studied with, if I've been alive that long, but from studying Bouguereau paintings, this is actually kind of flat in the Bouguereaus. Not so much in a Rembrandt. Definitely not in a Nelson Shanks. So kind of picking and choosing whatever I like from different artists that I have done master studies of. I prefer to stand while painting, but I am sitting. Like for example, if I go to the painting group tonight, I will stand. I prefer to stand just so I can stand back and forth. It depends on what I'm doing. Like if I'm rendering something, like I said yesterday, every painting can get to a point where you don't really need the model anymore and you can turn form. And this is just my my thoughts, but you can turn form as far as you want. You can make it into, like, the nose could be a fine polished finish, kind of like a Dutch master still life. And for that, you don't really need the model. The model is there so you can paint the as close to life as possible, assuming we're working from life. But there are certain things. So, like, if I'm, let's change the concept a little bit. Like, if I am painting a detail in a painting, like a frame, and there's like a lot of little repetitive textures in the frame, I'd rather sit. I just don't. I wouldn't want to stand while I'm just doing repetitive, uh, repetitive, repetitive motion. Like, if there's a little, like pearls. Like, if there was like pearls, for some reason, like she's wearing a pearl necklace. And I gotta paint every single pearl. I'd rather sit to do that. Thanks, tour. Yeah, I think with this one today, I really just wanted to not think too much about the process. I mean, I'm using the same process, but I'm trying to make it more second nature. So that leaves room for things like expression to become more uh, part of the conversation, I guess. More passion, more energy, more brushwork. it's a little bit cooler down here. Now I'm gonna look for that finite edge over here. Alright, so now the middle of the mouth. Kind of a bluish color, similar to that. And we complete some of the curvature around the edge of the mouth. These planes are going to be rather predictable, even though this is a different model than yesterday. I'm finding many of the same planes. With an emphasis on light and shadow, I'm still trying to create planes. So this has a little more blue in it. I'm guessing because we've got a little bit of a sunlight effect. Yeah, so for the colors of the shadows, the first thing I would say is try not to think about it like a exact color, because when you're working from life, things will look different over time, and a color will have so much to it, like relative to the surrounding colors when you're working from life. However, to make it more simple, for paintings like this that are more kind of like procedural, kind of like business as usual, yeah, shadows can be simple, like burnt sienna, white, ultramarine blue. If you want it to be more blue, then more ultramarine blue, or you can even use burnt sienna, white, and black for more of those colors. However, when you have reflected lights and stuff like that, like here, the bulb of the nose, it's going to have a little bit more red or orange to it. This is a very predictable thing, this little red here. And this is pretty much just cadmium red mixed in with the skin tones that were already on the palette. Yeah, there is some blue in the cast shadow. of the nose right there, the cerulean blue. This is why a big palette is more useful for stuff like this, because you have much more room to think, much more room to take from puddles that you've created earlier. Yeah, no problem to her. Yeah, remember everybody, these are very improv. I say this a lot, but they're very improv paintings. Very improv streams, I should say, not paintings. These are actually quite planned out in terms of the process. But the streams are very improv. So, we can talk about color, we can talk about form. But I put myself in the same position as everyone that's on the internet that's trying to learn how to do something. So for me, the live stream format is useful because it puts a little more pressure on me to paint better and to learn from mistakes. I've done so many paintings on YouTube. I've done so many titled portrait painting tutorial, this and that. I could even title it portrait painting tutorial, literally this and that. But I'm trying to just be a little bit more consistent with these videos and not have to stress about the title, or I just want to be me. And I'm someone that really tries to improve on every aspect of whatever it is I'm doing. Even though with this I'm a little bit more loose, there's still a lot of thinking that goes into it. It's just all mostly intuitive now. But the process is, again, very repeatable. It's a very simple process. It just so happens now we're at that rendering stage where we make the thing look like the thing. And I'm not so much worried about the background, because that's not going to create the likeness of the model. Though it will help with things like color. I appreciate all the likes, everybody. Appreciate everyone tuning in for these very improv painting sessions. Even though these are little thrift store brushes, they are the little thrift store brushes that could a video which shows all my artworks. That is a great idea. Lately, I have not done too many figure paintings, although I've been doing some figure drawings. So, in the past, I would do mostly figurative work, which would be an issue because that can't be shared on YouTube. But yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. I'm gonna ask Lucy if she can make a slideshow for me. The wifey. Of course, I can make a slideshow too. It's a good idea. I mean, as you all may know, I've been on YouTube for a long time, so a great majority of my paintings are YouTube paintings. That's a good idea. You know, I kind of enjoy humor, so in my most recent studio painting, I've painted a duck and a goose next to the model, and I made up a ancient hieroglyphic with a Shiba. You know, as if the Shiba was around during the well, the Shiva was around during the Egyptian times, but wasn't in the hieroglyphs. But I do have some paintings that I've done in the past that are kind of similar to that. I would put Bender from Futurama in there a lot, although that might give me some copyright issues. Just kind of some comical things in the paintings. I've done some paintings with lizards in them. Yeah, as it turns out, I like funny paintings. Like a painting with there's like one like old painting, old masterish kind of painting with kind of like a guy pointing at something and smiling. It was a meme for a long time. That's one of my favorite paintings. You know, like if I painted SpongeBob, like right behind here, that would be kind of funny to me. I did a still life when I was like 17, where I put Pikachu, like just made up a Pikachu behind one of the still life props in the shadows. Yeah, yeah. Put a tarantula on there. Put a curly hair spider. I have done a painting that I titled "There is a Spider," and there was a hidden um, pink toe spider on one of the paintings. It's one of the few studio paintings that I've done that I I want to submit to competitions. But it's kind of old. I did it back in like 2022, I think. I think most competitions want paintings done like that year. I've been known to put UFOs in any landscape, like any landscape that I paint. I've been known to paint a UFO. Yeah, people in the future will say, "Look, they had UFOs," or the UFOs being us from the future, conspiracy alert, would be like, someone would be like, Henry, what were you doing flying over there? Like, because there's some theories that the UFOs are us from the future. As we speak, there's a UFO that is said to be heading our way. Was that Three Eye Atlas or something like that? I don't know. I most likely don't think that that's real, but kind of I want it to be real. Yeah, like so I did this double portrait in Frederick in a hood group, a group called the Hood Group, which still they still have portrait sessions. I might go tomorrow if I can wake up on time. That's nearly a 2 hour drive to go paint from life again. But anyway, there was a double portrait, and I made up a background where I put the models in jail. There was a brick wall, and only a few people got the joke that I put them in jail. But yeah, I've been known to do that to paintings. Right, a little more blue. And you just know that I'm gonna do a painting, and it might even be the one that I'm working on that has the goose and everything. But I want to put the dude from Thriller, the guy from Thriller, or is it Thriller or Terrifier? Yeah, no, Terrifier. That that clown with the hat that's on like sideways. I want to paint that dude in the background. I'm probably gonna do that with that same painting. I mean, it is about to be Halloween time anyway. Makes sense. Hey, Gigi. Hopefully everything went well. Yeah, I want to paint the clown from Terrifier. Yeah, imagine going to the painting group, right? Because it's a long pose, um, and the model is just a standard like head and shoulders seated pose. But yeah, I, there's no session this Saturday, so next Saturday is gonna be the last. So that would be three consecutive, not consecutive, but three 4 hour poses. Everybody shows up with their head and shoulders study, and I have this whole background and stuff with the Terrifier clown, hieroglyphs with a Shiba in it, a duck, a goose. There's a bird. I'm thinking I might put a bird's nest on her head. Stuff like that. Like, that's my realm of paintings. Michael Jackson would be scary too. Probably, yeah. I don't know, that's just my personality. The same thing goes with painting streams, like these live streams. Like I just can't stomach a whole like serious session. Alrighty, step one, we go and put the drawing. Step two, we go in with the light and shadow. Step three, this and that. I did it for Patreon, and it's the only video series where I'm actually serious. And it's a process that's like 100% like proof, but nah, I can't. I can't. Like, I have to have fun with this. Why? Because you can. Exactly. And it's just fun. I mean, I'm titling these videos. I'm titling them Portrait Sketch and Oil Colors with a number, right? So it's Portrait Sketch and Oil Colors 5. Next time it's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, however far we go, right? That itself is kind of a joke because, the algorithm, YouTube algorithm is like, come on now, what are you doing? Make us some monies. And I'm just like, I'm just going to have fun. My goal would be, and of course my goal is to sell these, but I want to sell them as authentic, like me being me. Not so much like this is a step by step how to do this, but just me being me. And I think that's the secret to not burning out too much. Just kind of being yourself. Yeah, this would have been a great watercolor. I may end up painting this in watercolor later. Just because the light is so sharp and this little vignette is pretty good. Oh, thanks, Gigi. I try to teach sometimes, but lately I'm not really. This is why the questions are so useful to me. Because otherwise I'm just going to paint. Yeah, I was scared of watercolor before. Now, not so much. I tell you one thing I've learned from watercolor, my recent watercolor paintings, is I like the Arches paper like exclusively now. The Arches paper. Right now I'm only using 140 pounds, but I'm gonna get the 300-pound next. And I actually do, now I start with a lot of water, so I keep the watercolor flat in the beginning, which not can't really do with this format. Not that I'm not gonna do any watercolors on YouTube though. At least not for a while. Consistency. Trying to keep this consistent. So you know me, I'll probably end up changing this after like a week into some other type of content. But I would hope not to. I'm trying to find, dare I say, a balance. Long pose, I'm using, I'm painting from life, and or doing master studies. But with short pose, I'm doing this. So that's my balance. More passion, more energy, more brushwork. If you can keep that brush moving every day, that's something. Because that is not easy to do. The burnout is real. The artist block is real. And sometimes all we can do is keep the brush moving. With more passion, more energy, and more brushwork. That's how it works. Appreciate all the likes, everybody. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I know the feeling, Tour. Sometimes I just don't want to paint. And when that's the case, I usually clean my studio or rearrange my setup or change my palette. Like the palette changed recently, it just happened. Subconsciously, maybe I just didn't want to paint. But I did. Yeah, and sometimes on a more on a more serious note, sometimes we're so like defeated by like lack of likes or like lack of like lack of people's interests in our work, that alone makes us not want to paint, especially me. I guarantee you, if I share this on Instagram, I probably won't even get 50 likes. And it reminds me of that song that says, "How many likes is my life worth?" or something like that. It's an old song now. So it's important, like, to not dwell on that stuff too much. Like, I don't care if this doesn't get 100 likes. Like, to me, this is any little progress that I have in my painting is worth more than 1,000 likes. And even better if I can sell it. Even better if I can sell it. Hey, Susan. Welcome, welcome. Hey, Tour. Hey, thanks for the question. I kind of feel the same way. I feel like I'm a little bit buried, like underrated. Um, I do feel that way. And the answer is I don't know. I think it has something to do with um, there was an explosion of content creators after the pandemic. So we're talking about like 2021 all the way up until 2024. There was an explosion of content creators, whereas in the past, people were more, I guess, like off the internet. So I think it's just the sheer volume of people posting every day on the internet that makes it so difficult to maintain a following. But it's kind of a joke. I mean, like, it's not a joke, but it kind of is a joke. Like letting that, like the fact that I even let that get to me before, rather than focus on like this, like try to actually improve the work. Because always remember that the only thing that matters in a painting is the impact that it had on the creator. The only thing that matters about the painting is the impact it had on the creator. And we know that that's not going to pay the bills. What'll pay the bills is when they sell, but you can't dwell on it as an artist. You gotta be yourself. A true collector is gonna want something that will have some kind of worth. And I suspect that if you are yourself and you get, known as yourself, you will produce more, I think. Unfinished pictures in the thumbnail. Yeah, I used to think that too, but I don't even create the thumbnail. That's YouTube. However, I could go and edit it after the stream. Yeah, I could do that. I can do that. I can take a picture of it and put my own thumbnail. That's an idea. Also, I mean, I am titling it almost intentionally for it to be underrated. That's kind of my fault, isn't it? But I mean, I don't know what else to do. Like, what else to title it? Like, I can't just do another portrait painting tutorial. Zorn palette, portrait painting tutorial, the 5 things you need to know, or portrait painting tutorial, the cheapest colors you could use, which, by the way, is Venetian red, titanium white, yellow ochre, and black. It's kind of tough. Don't want to keep doing those videos. I already feel like I've improved from my first portrait sketch in oil colors, which I think was titled What I Learned from My Old Master Studies. I think I've already improved. That was my goal. And now it's just to keep improving. More passion, more energy, more brushwork. Oh, true. Yeah, like a craft show. Yeah, that's what Lucy wants to do. Sell them in a craft show. Well, it kind of makes sense to sell these. Not that people are going to be interested in random faces, but they might. And I guess the purpose of these paintings is more geared towards improving my techniques as opposed to selling things. Yeah, but don't stress over that, you guys. Like, y'all don't worry about that. Like, don't worry about it. Like, I'll be here, and we're gonna make it work. Don't worry, okay? I may be underrated now, but there will be a time. There will be a time where I won't be so underrated. All y'all gotta do is just hang out. Just just hang out with me if you want to. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. That you enjoy my content is all I could ever ask for. And of course that you buy every single painting of mine, but that's a different story. Yeah, don't worry. More brushes and a bigger palette is really, really useful. More brushes and a bigger palette. Now, this palette is not my favorite palette, and the reason I'm using different palettes right now is because the alkyds dry too fast in the mixing space of my favorite palette. And my favorite palette is a handmade original palette made by Larry Wiseman, who unfortunately has passed away. It has its own item number. It is a one of a kind. I've painted with it for what, like 4 years now, 5 years now, and it's developed quite a patina over time, which is a good thing, but it makes me a little anxious that the alkyds dry right on it just too fast in the mixing space. So that's why I've switched to more of a commercial palette, a big palette. That is why I have made that change. Oh, I have carried that. Oh, thank you. I didn't realize that. I wasn't thinking of the luminosity with this one. There's definitely an emphasis on the technique. You know, like how much can I get done? How um, I don't even know what the word is really. Like how realistic, I guess, can I get this to be? Yet maintain the fluidity of the alla prima. Oh, that's scary, but it had to be done. It's kind of like Bob Ross. The strand of hair is like painting that big old tree. Big old tree right there. Strand of hair needs a friend. The only reason I'm painting that is because it's part of the face. I'm trying as much as I can to just emphasize the face with these. Emphasis is on the technique. Same technique for every one of these. Yep, good old Bob Ross. No, I wouldn't say alkyds are more opaque and chalky. They look just like regular oil paints, like in appearance, at least to me. But the only difference is they dry, like within an hour. They're already trying to be touch dry. Okie dokie. So it seems that the 2 hours is a good time frame for a face. Seems like a lot of time, but really, it's just enough. So I'll still continue working on the face, though I would love to throw in some stuff for the background, but that's not the goal here. Specificity is the goal. You know, sadly, this is actually more time than I think I will have, painting time than I will have in that painting group. I'm kind of trying to dissuade myself from driving 35 minutes to go paint from life. But I mean, they only have a long pose once a month at this group. I'm just factoring in the model breaks and everything. All titanium white, by the way. This is all titanium. It does just fine. It's not as I don't know what the term is, like silky as lead white, but you don't need it. It's just nice to have. Yeah, it is my only opportunity, other than self portraits. But yeah, I mean, painting a person from life, especially someone you don't know, is better than painting someone you do know. Always. It's always better to paint someone you don't know. You learn more from that than you do painting someone you know. That is the truth. And we've got about 7 minutes You know, I should probably check my GPS for traffic. And we still managed to maintain that tilt. So that's a good thing. Well, good. You did a self-portrait, GG. That's great. Yeah, those are always a challenge, but there's always so much to learn. Well, almost there. This is the stage where I'll likely just get a clean brush and just blend away anything that sticks out too much. Of course, fan brush first. And there goes Shiba hair. Hugo's fur is now on the painting, which increases the value, of course, if Hugo's fur ends up on the painting. The price actually goes up by a good $20. So, see, that's a good thing. We've got some Shiba fur on it. So I won't I won't blend away too much. Just anything that sticks out too much. Like this was, of course, what I was gonna blend out, this little line, but always preserve the energy. More passion, more energy, more brushwork. I would say, yeah, definitely working from life is a challenge, especially self portrait. But painting, like I was saying before, painting strangers is actually better for your development, for anyone's development. Painting strangers from life is the best. And we still didn't measure anything. Uh, I didn't measure anything. Whoops, I probably should have. But I think it's okay. Well, I'm not gonna stress over it now, but this one was done with an emphasis on painting with the force. The force guides you through all the brushwork with more passion, energy, and brushwork. But in all actuality, I just tried to relax with this one, not stress over it too much. I can put a stronger highlight on the nose. I think I can. But if it's something that I missed, like right there or right here, maybe I should just let it be. And if it is like a big mistake, it's something I can perhaps learn from next time. Yeah, I kind of want to just preserve the energy of this painting as it is. I think I did okay, but I don't know. I'll look at it later, like tomorrow or whatever, when I photograph it for the internet. And something will jump out, I'm sure. Like what I did yesterday, I noticed that I didn't use enough paint, like especially around the features. So that's why I was a little bit looser today, so I can throw more paint on there. Okay, alrighty. I better get moving if I'm gonna go to that painting session. If you are watching and you're in the Northern Virginia area and you want to paint with me like today, like in the next hour, let me know. You have about 1 minute. I'm about to sign the painting. I'm gonna sign it over here. Okay. That's it. That's all, everybody. Painted with passion, energy, and brushwork. There you go. Let me somewhat clean my brushes so I can take them with me to Lorton, Virginia. And if you are new to the videos and you're still watching at this point and you want to see more stuff like this, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out. And for now, for the time being, 3 o'clock p.m. on the weekdays is the best time for me. Though I don't think I can do these on Fridays because I have some online students that I meet on Friday. So you won't see me here tomorrow, but next week As long as Lucy doesn't have any days off. She had she had Monday and Tuesday off this week, so that's why I was not here Monday and Tuesday. Gotta clean these brushes. Oh, thanks, Gigi. I really didn't measure. I forgot. Thanks to her. Oh, thank you. I'm glad this is the best one. I just kind of let go with this one a lot more and tried to keep the stuff that I learned in the past couple weeks. Try to keep it as second nature as possible. But that's the beauty of repetition. Eventually it becomes muscle memory. Really do appreciate all the likes, everybody. Alrighty, I must get to my little Nissan Versa and hopefully make it to the painting session. So once again, thank you all so much for watching. I wish you the very best, and I'll see you next time.